Violence against women is gender-based violence directed against a woman because she is a woman or that affects women disproportionately. It includes all acts of gender-based violence that result in or are likely to result in physical, sexual, psychological, or economic harm or suffering, including threats of such acts. Domestic violence is another form of violence against women. It occurs in the family or domestic unit, irrespective of biological or legal family ties. It can happen either between intimate partners or between other family members, including between parents and children. Violence against women and domestic violence are estimated to affect 1 in 3 women in the EU. Looking at the more specific types of violence, in 2014, 1 in 10 women reported being victims of sexual violence, and 1 in 20 had been raped. More than 1 in 5 women have suffered domestic violence. Cyber violence is just as prevalent. In 2020, it was estimated that 1 in 2 young women experienced gender-based cyber violence. On the 8th of March 2022, the European Commission presented a proposal for a directive on combating violence against women and domestic violence. The aim is to criminalize certain forms of violence against women and provide sanctions for relevant offences. It is also intended to protect and support victims, to improve their access to justice, as well as to ensure coordination and cooperation between the competent services. The Council of Europe Convention on Preventing and Combating Violence Against Women and Domestic Violence, also known as the Istanbul Convention, the proposal reinforces the international framework set by the Istanbul Convention. The proposal seeks to create a dedicated EU legal instrument to harmonise EU law with established international standards. It also takes into account recent phenomena such as cyber violence against women, which is not specifically addressed by the Istanbul Convention. ASSEDEL shared its amendment proposals in the framework of this EU legal instrument addressing violence against women. ASSEDEL's recommendations focus on some key points. The legal basis of the directive should be strengthened and be based both on criminal law and equality and non-discrimination. Violence against women should also be seen as a form of human rights violation. Certain victims may have specific needs or issues related to their vulnerability factor that should be considered during the assessment to identify protection and support needs. All women, regardless of their gender, should receive proper and specialized protection and support, and therefore be mentioned explicitly in the directive. The scope of the measures to prevent violence at work and to support victims should be broadened by including a comprehensive workplace education and training program. In addition, cooperation with trade unions and workers' representatives in the development and implementation of measures to combat sexual harassment at work should be promoted. ASSEDEL also suggests the inclusion of a treatment program for offenders of violence against women or domestic violence aimed to prevent further violence and change violent behavioral patterns. Currently, no specific piece of EU legislation comprehensively addresses violence against women and domestic violence. Therefore, amendment proposals of ASSEDEL have a particular importance on this first act specifically addressing this type of violence.